Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, founded by the prophet Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, in ancient Persia, had a profound influence on legal thought and practice in the Iranian plateau and, by extension, on the development of broader Middle Eastern legal traditions. Emerging in the early first millennium BCE, Zoroastrianism combined religious, ethical, and social principles that shaped notions of justice, social responsibility, and legal governance in ancient Persian empires, particularly during the Achaemenid, Parthian, and Sasanian periods. The ethical foundation of Zoroastrian law, central to Zoroastrian doctrine, is the concept of asha, often translated as truth, order, or righteousness. Asha represents the cosmic and social order, serving as both a metaphysical principle and a moral guideline for human behavior. Within the context of law, asha functions as a standard against which actions, laws, and judgments are measured. In other words, to act legally and morally is to act in accordance with asha. The antithesis of asha is druj, which signifies falsehood, chaos, or evil, providing a conceptual basis for criminal and civil law distinctions in Zoroastrian-influenced societies. The Zoroastrian emphasis on individual responsibility and moral choice directly influenced legal practices. Laws were not only instruments of state control, but also expressions of divine order. The administration of justice, therefore, involved a moral dimension. Judges and officials were expected to embody asha, ensuring fairness and righteousness in legal proceedings. This intertwining of ethics and law distinguished Zoroastrian-influenced legal systems from purely secular or pragmatic law codes found elsewhere in the ancient world. Codification and legal institutions in Achaemenid Persia. The Achaemenid Empire, c. 550 to 330 BCE, represents the first major Persian state influenced by Zoroastrian principles in governance and law. While surviving records are limited, it is evident that Zoroastrian ethics informed the codification of laws and the role of judges. Achaemenid rulers, including Cyrus the Great and Darius I, emphasized justice, arta in Old Persian, closely related to asha, as a defining characteristic of kingship. Darius I's inscriptions, such as the Behistun inscription, highlight the king's duty to uphold truth and justice across his vast empire. Although the Achaemenids did not leave a formalized legal code comparable to Hammurabi's code, they implemented a system where local customs were respected but aligned with overarching principles of justice derived from Zoroastrian ethics. Judges, dadwar, were appointed in provinces to ensure local disputes were resolved according to both customary law and the king's vision of asha. These judges were not merely bureaucrats, but moral arbiters, reflecting the Zoroastrian ideal that legal authority is inseparable from ethical integrity. The Sasanian legal system and Zoroastrian canonical law. The Sasanian Empire, 224 to 651 CE, provides the clearest evidence of Zoroastrian influence on formalized law. During this period, Zoroastrian priests, the magi, and scholars systematically codified religious and civil law, creating a sophisticated legal corpus. The Madayan-e-Hazar Dadistan, Book of 1,000 Judgments, and other Middle Persian legal texts reflect a comprehensive approach to jurisprudence, encompassing criminal law, family law, property law, and ritual obligations. Sasanian law was deeply intertwined with Zoroastrian theology. Crimes were classified according to their threat to social and cosmic order. Offenses disrupting family structures, religious practice, or royal authority were seen not merely as legal violations, but as moral transgressions against asha. Punishments often included fines, restitution, and ritual atonement, reflecting the dual concern for social stability and spiritual order. Zoroastrian ritual also informed legal proceedings. Oaths taken by litigants invoked Ahura Mazda, the supreme god, as a witness, underscoring the sacred nature of legal truth. Courts often incorporated religious observances, and certain crimes, such as sacrilege or impurity offenses, were adjudicated primarily by priests. This fusion of legal and religious authority exemplifies how Zoroastrianism shaped not only the content of law, but also its procedures and enforcement mechanisms. Influence on family and inheritance law. Zoroastrianism emphasized the family as a microcosm of cosmic order. Consequently, Sasanian law included detailed regulations on marriage, inheritance, and succession. Marriage was considered both a civil and religious contract, with duties and rights of spouses clearly defined. Inheritance laws reflected the dual Zoroastrian concern for fairness and preservation of family lineage, often stipulating equal shares among sons, while also providing mechanisms for widows and daughters. These principles influenced later Islamic family law, which integrated aspects of Persian legal practice into the broader Sharia system. Impact on neighboring cultures and legal traditions. The legal influence of Zoroastrianism extended beyond Persia. During the Achaemenid period, Persian administrative and legal practices were adopted in conquered territories, including parts of Mesopotamia, Anatolia, and the Indus Valley. Zoroastrian principles of justice, truthfulness, and ethical governance informed local legal customs, blending with indigenous traditions. Later, Sasanian law profoundly impacted early Islamic jurisprudence. The Dasters and other priestly legal scholars developed concepts such as contractual obligations, property rights, and procedural norms that were later adapted in Islamic law. Notably, the emphasis on oaths, witnesses, and moral accountability reflects a continuity from Zoroastrian legal thought to Islamic jurisprudence. Moral and philosophical underpinnings of law. Zoroastrian law was not merely procedural, but philosophical. The moral dimension of law emphasized personal accountability. Individuals were responsible for choosing Asha over Druj in their actions. Legal transgressions were interpreted as disruptions of cosmic balance, not just social order. This perspective encouraged a legal culture in which ethics, religion, and jurisprudence were inseparable. Scholars of ancient legal systems often point to this holistic approach as a distinguishing feature of Zoroastrian influence, setting Persian law apart from contemporaneous systems that prioritized punishment or coercion over moral integrity. Moreover, Zoroastrian legal thought incorporated a forward-looking aspect. Laws were intended to cultivate virtuous citizens and maintain social cohesion. This principle of proactive legal ethics, law as a tool for moral development, has parallels in later philosophical traditions, including Stoicism and early Christian thought. Conclusion. Zoroastrianism profoundly shaped legal thought in ancient Persia, embedding ethical principles into governance, adjudication, and codification. From the moral foundation of Asha to the practical application of law in Achaemenid and Sasanian courts, Zoroastrian influence created a legal culture where law was inseparable from morality and religion. This influence extended beyond Persia, informing legal and administrative practices in conquered territories, and later contributing to the development of Islamic jurisprudence. Zoroastrian legal thought thus represents a foundational intersection of religion, ethics, and law, emphasizing that justice is both a societal requirement and a cosmic principle. Sources 1. Boyce, M. 2001, Zoroastrians, Their Religious Beliefs and Practices, Routledge. 2. Weidengren, G. 1965, Zoroastrianism in Persia, Stockholm, Almqvist and Wixel. 3. Shaked, S. 1994, Studies in Zoroastrian Legal Texts, Leiden, Brill. 4. Hinels, J.R. 2005, The Zoroastrian Diaspora, Religion and Migration, Oxford University Press. 5. Schmidt, R. 2004, Achaemenid Legal History, in D.T. Potts, ed., A Companion to the Archaeology of the Ancient Near East, Wiley Blackwell. 6. Gershevich, I. 1955, The Avestan Hymns, London, Oxford University Press. 7. Boyce, M. 1979, A History of Zoroastrianism, Vol. 2, Under the Achaemenians, Leiden, Brill.